Welcome in, everybody. Ready for a deep dive? We're going to explore how music affects the brain today.
Cool.
Yeah, we're using Daniel Levitin's book as our guide.
This is your brain on music.
Exactly. This is your brain on music, and I'm so excited about this one.
Yeah, this one is really fun.
I think all of our deep dives are fun, but
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this one for a while because
We do.
I love music.
It's interesting stuff, and it's something everybody can relate to.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to find out kind of like what's going on. Like when I hear a song that I really like,
Mm-hmm.
and I get chills, or just like, why is music such a universal thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, Levitin, he really breaks it down in a way that's easy to understand.
Okay.
He starts by explaining what happens in your brain when you listen to, like, a symphony.
Oh, okay.
And what's really cool is that, like, pretty much every part of your brain is involved.
Really? I always thought it was just my ears,
Yeah.
doing the work.
I know, right? But it's way more than that. Your auditory cortex, that's obviously processing the sounds, like the pitch and the rhythm.
Right.
But then your motor regions might be, tapping along to the beat.
Mm-hmm.
And then the hippocampus is busy connecting the music to your memories. And then you've got your prefrontal cortex,
Whoa.
coloring it all with emotion.
Okay, so like every part is like having a party?
It's a party in your brain.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
That's why just listening to music is already so complex. But can you imagine what happens when you're actually playing an instrument?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. Like, does that take it to a whole other level?
Oh, absolutely. Levitin says it's one of the most demanding things you can ask your brain to do.
Really?
Yeah, he compares it to like juggling while doing mental gymnastics.
Wow.
Yeah, because you're coordinating your movements, you're listening so intently,
Boy, yeah.
you're expressing yourself emotionally all at the same time.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I've always wondered this too. Like, why does a certain song make me feel so good? Like, is it just me, or like, is there something actually happening in my brain?
Okay, get ready for this.
Okay.
Your brain actually rewards you for listening to your favorite music with a rush of dopamine.
Dopamine. Like
exactly.
like the feel-good chemical?
The feel-good chemical, just like when you eat something delicious
Oh, wow.
or you achieve a goal.
Okay, so my brain is basically like giving me a high five
Pretty much.
for like listening to the same song on repeat.
Yeah, it's all about pleasure and reward, and that's a big part of why music can be so addictive.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And it's not just dopamine either.
Oh,
You've got serotonin in the mix too, which helps regulate mood.
wow, a cocktail of brain chemicals.
Exactly. So when you're listening to a song that you love, you're getting this like cocktail of feel-good chemicals.
So that's why music can be so therapeutic, right?
It is. It goes beyond just being a nice distraction.
Yeah.
Like, music can actually help rewire your brain.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
So it's being used in therapy
Oh, yeah. All the time.
for like a bunch of different things.
Yeah, from managing anxiety, like you said, to even helping stroke patients regain speech.
That's amazing.
It is pretty incredible.
So this is blowing my mind, but okay, here's another one. I've always wondered, like, music, it's everywhere, right?
Yep.
Every culture
Yeah.
has it. So like, what makes it so special? It's not like broccoli, not everyone loves broccoli, but everybody seems to love music.
That's so true. That's one of the big questions that Levitin tries to answer in the book.
Okay.
And the crazy thing is that every single culture throughout history has had some form of music.
Wow.
It's as universal as language, maybe even more so.
More. Wow.
Yeah. And Levitin, he dives into some really interesting evolutionary theories about where music came from.
Okay.
And one idea is that music, it was kind of like birdsong, might
Yeah.
have played a role in attracting mates.
Oh,
Yeah. Or another theory is that it was a way to strengthen social bonds and to communicate ideas, maybe even before we had language.
really? So like music was our first form of social media.
It's a cool thought, right?
I love that idea.
Yeah, and even today, think about how music brings people together.
Right.
Whether it's a national anthem that evokes patriotism
Right.
or a concert where everyone is singing along to their favorite band.
Yeah, it's true.
There's just something about music that transcends language and cultural barriers.
Yeah, you're right. It's powerful. And speaking of powerful, have you ever noticed like certain moments in a song, like when the music builds up to a climax,
Oh, yeah.
or there's like a key change that just gives you chills?
Yeah.
What is that? Like, what's going on there?
Well, our brains, they're wired to predict patterns.
Okay.
So when we listen to music, we're always trying to anticipate what's coming next.
Uh-huh.
And it's satisfying when our predictions are right. But when a composer throws in like a surprise, like a sudden key change or a soaring high note, It kind of violates our expectations, but in a good way.
So it's like my brain is saying like, whoa, I didn't see that coming, but like, I love it.
Exactly. And that unexpected twist triggers a release of dopamine.
Dopamine again.
It's our brain's way of saying, this is awesome.
I love it.
And that feeling of excitement, it can actually manifest physically as those chills.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not just like an emotional response, it's a physical reaction to the music.
It is.
That's so wild.
Uh,
I'm going to have to like pay more attention to that now when I'm listening to music.
Yeah, I bet if you think about the songs that give you chills, they usually follow like a similar pattern, you know? There's the buildup of tension and then a moment of surprise and then a glorious release.
Yeah, that's true.
Composers, they play with these elements to get a reaction out of us.
Wow. So they're like puppet masters.
In a way, yeah.
And our emotions are the puppets.
That's a good way to put it.
On strings.
It makes you wonder, though, how much of that emotional response is like hardwired versus learned.
Right. Nature versus nurture.
Exactly. And that's a question that researchers are still trying to figure out. But, you know, even babies respond emotionally to music.
Oh, that's true.
So it suggests that there's something innate about our connection to it.
It's just fascinating to me that something as simple as sound waves can affect us so deeply.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing.
Well, I am ready to dive even deeper into this.
All right, let's do it.
Let's keep exploring.
There's so much more to learn about music's effects on the brain.
Let's go. Before we started this deep dive, I knew that music could like bring back memories.
Yeah.
But I never realized how strong that connection really is. It's like songs can hold pieces of our past,
It really is more than just a feeling. There's an actual neurological basis for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the hippocampus, remember we talked about that earlier?
Yeah, like the memory part of our brain.
Right, it's like the memory vault of your brain. Well, it has a strong connection to those auditory centers. So when you hear a familiar song, the hippocampus jumps into action and it's like, bam, retrieving those stored experiences.
Is that why like a certain song can just take you back to a specific time and place?
Exactly.
Like you hear a song and suddenly you're back in high school.
Yeah.
Reliving a specific moment.
It's like you're right back there.
That's wild.
What's even cooler is that sometimes music can even bring back memories that you didn't even know you had.
What? Really?
Yeah, it's like those memories were hidden away.
Wow.
And the music is like the key that unlocks them.
Has that ever happened to you?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like where a song just brought back a memory you had totally forgotten about?
Oh, yeah. Just the other day I was listening to the radio and this old song came on. And I hadn't heard it in years and it instantly took me back to a summer vacation when I was a kid.
Wow.
I mean, it was incredible, like all the sights and the sounds, even like the emotions I was feeling at the time.
It's like music creates this soundtrack to our lives, right?
Yeah.
It adds like a whole other layer to our memories.
It really does.
And it's not even just personal memories. It's like music can connect us to bigger things too, right?
Yeah.
Like cultural moments or historical events.
Oh, absolutely. Think about how certain songs become like anthems for social movements.
Yeah.
Or how a song can really capture the feeling of a specific time period. Those songs become like part of history.
Yeah, like woven into the fabric of history.
Yeah, and they shape how we remember and understand those events.
It's amazing, isn't it? How a song can bring together so many people, even across different generations.
Yeah, it's really powerful.
It makes you realize that music isn't just a personal thing. It's a shared experience.
Definitely.
Okay, so Levitin also talks about how music can be used in therapy.
Yeah.
This part really blew my mind. Is there like actual science that backs this up?
Oh, yeah. There's a ton of research now.
Right.
Showing how music therapy can be super beneficial. I mean, they're using it to help people with a bunch of different conditions.
Like what?
Anxiety, depression, autism, Parkinson's disease, all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
And the really cool thing is that music can target different parts of the brain. So you can basically tailor it to the person's specific needs.
That's incredible. I mean, I guess it makes sense when you think about how music can affect our mood and emotions so strongly. But like, what does music therapy actually look like? Is it just people sitting around listening to calming music?
Well, sometimes, but it's more than that.
Okay.
Music therapists use a bunch of different techniques, like playing instruments, singing, songwriting, even just like improvising music with their patients.
Oh, wow.
The key is to use music as a tool, for communication, for emotional expression, even for cognitive stimulation.
It's like taking music to a whole other level.
It really is.
It's not just something we enjoy. It's something that can help us heal and grow.
Yeah, and it's not just in therapy either.
Oh.
We all use music in our daily lives to kind of regulate our emotions, whether it's listening to something upbeat to energize us or something calming to unwind after a long day.
That's so true.
We're all kind of like our own music therapists in a way.
I like that.
Yeah.
One thing that really stood out to me in Levinton's book is that he emphasizes how understanding the science behind music doesn't make it any less magical.
Right.
If anything, it makes it even more amazing.
I totally agree. It's like peeking behind the curtain and seeing all the gears turning and all the complexities.
Yeah, it's like that saying, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
The more we understand about music, the more we can appreciate it.
And the more we can use it to improve our lives.
I love that.
Levinon's basically giving us this toolkit to unlock the full potential of music.
I like that, a toolkit.
For ourselves and for the world.
This makes me think about that idea of composers like playing with our expectations, you know?
Yeah.
It's like they're creating these sonic puzzles that our brains are trying to solve.
That's a great way to put it.
And the best composers, they're like masters of manipulation.
Yeah.
They know how to build tension and anticipation and surprise us in a way that leaves us wanting more.
Like a musical roller coaster ride.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just like a good roller coaster, you need those slower moments to appreciate the drops and the thrills, you know?
You need that contrast.
Yeah.
A good composer knows how to balance those elements.
So it's not just random notes and melodies.
No.
It's all very intentional.
Everything is deliberate. Every note, every rhythm, every dynamic shift.
Right.
It's all designed to make you feel a certain way.
That's mind-blowing.
It's like a conversation between the composer and the audience through the language of music.
That's a beautiful way to think about it.
Thanks.
It's not just entertainment, then
Right.
it's art. It's communication.
Exactly.
You know, before we move on, I have a question that's been bugging me.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about how music is connected to our memories, but like, why do some songs stick with us more than others?
That's a good question, and Leviton actually talks about that. He says that the music we listen to during like key developmental periods like adolescence,
Okay.
it tends to leave a bigger mark on us.
Oh, that's interesting.
So think about the songs you listen to in high school or college.
Yeah.
I bet they still bring back strong emotions and memories.
Yeah, they totally do.
Even years later, right?
It's like those songs become time capsules,
They really do.
capturing a specific moment in our lives.
It's not just the music itself, though.
Right.
It's the emotions and experiences, the people we associate with those songs.
It's true. It's all tied together.
It becomes part of who we are.
Leviton also talks about how songs that we connect with big life events, like weddings or graduations, they can also have a strong hold on us.
Yeah, those big moments.
It makes me wonder if the type of music matters.
Yeah.
You know, like do certain genres tend to trigger memories more than others?
That's a really interesting question, and researchers are still looking into that.
Right.
But there is some evidence that music with strong emotional content, no matter what genre it is, might be more likely to trigger vivid memories.
Makes
Like our brains are wired to remember things that really matter to us,
Yeah, the stuff that has an impact.
Exactly.
Man, this is all so fascinating.
It is.
I'm realizing there's so much more to music than meets the ear,
I know, right?
It's a gateway to our emotions, our memories, even to our sense of self.
Music is powerful stuff.
It really is. Okay, so I think we're ready to move on to the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll try to like bring it all together and share some final thoughts on music's amazing impact.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive.
We have.
It's amazing to think that something as simple as music
Yeah.
can have such a big impact on us.
It is really incredible.
On our brains, on our emotions, even on our evolution.
Definitely.
One of the biggest things I've learned is just how deeply music is connected to our memories.
Yeah, for sure.
Like certain songs have this power to like transport us back in time.
It's true.
Unlock these vivid memories and emotions. I bet you have a song that takes you right back to a specific moment in your life.
Well, absolutely.
Music's like a time machine.
It is.
And those musical memories are so strong.
So strong. What is even more fascinating is that music can bring back emotions and memories that we're not even aware of.
What? Really?
Yeah, it's like it goes deeper than our conscious thoughts.
Wow.
Like it taps into something more primal.
It makes you wonder how much of our emotional landscape is shaped by the music we've heard throughout our lives.
That's a really interesting thought.
And if music is as old as Leviton says,
Yeah.
could it be that our understanding of emotions is like intertwined with our relationship with music?
That's a deep question.
I know.
And it's something that researchers are still trying to figure out.
Yeah.
But the fact that music is so universal across cultures, it really does suggest that it plays a fundamental role in how we develop emotionally. It's like a language we learn even before we have words for our feelings.
Levitin also talks about the therapeutic potential of music.
Yeah, he does.
Is there a specific example from the book that really stood out to you?
One that really hit me was when he was discussing music therapy for Alzheimer's patients.
Okay.
He describes how even patients who've lost a lot of their cognitive function can still connect with music on an emotional level.
Wow.
It's like music unlocks this part of their brain that other therapies can't reach.
That's really moving.
It is.
It really shows you how powerful music can be.
It does.
You know, it can heal, it can connect.
And it's not just for people with Alzheimer's.
Right.
Music therapy is being used to help all sorts of people.
Yeah.
People with anxiety, depression, trauma, addiction.
It makes you wonder if we could all be using music more intentionally in our lives.
Definitely.
You know, as a form of self-therapy.
I think we all do to some extent.
Yeah.
Like when we listen to upbeat music to boost our mood or put on something calming to relax after a long day.
That's true.
We're using music to regulate our emotions and to improve our well-being.
We've explored so many fascinating ideas in this deep dive. But if you had to pick just one core message to leave our listeners with, what would it be?
That's a tough one.
I know.
But I think the most important thing to remember is that music is not just something we enjoy, it's something we experience.
Yeah.
On a really deep level, you know?
Yeah.
It affects our senses, our emotions, our memories.
Our whole being.
It really does. It's part of what makes us human.
I love that. Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to encourage everyone listening to think about their own relationship with music.
Yeah.
You know what songs are special to you.
Yeah. What comes to mind?
How has music shaped your life?
How does it make you feel?
What role does it play in how you experience your emotions? Take some time to really think about it. You know, explore your own musical journey.
You might be surprised what you discover.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
It's been a great deep dive.
It has. Until next time, keep those tunes playing and those brainwaves buzzing.